Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the Two Ewes of Two Ewes Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at twoewesfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our Two Ewes Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode.
Hi, Marsha.
Hi, Kelly.
How are you doing?
Not very good.
I already know that. That's why I asked.
I know.
I'm so sorry. Tell the story, though.
Yes, I'm fine. So first of all, let me just tell everybody I'm fine. Nothing really horrible happened, but I had taken Enzo to the beach yesterday, to my favorite beach, the off-leash park up in Edmonds, Washington. That's anyway. I got knocked down by two big dogs that I think we decided they must have been Samoyeds or something. They looked like huskies, those big hairy dogs with the curly tail, but they were white. And I had bent over to bag Enzo's business, and I stood up, and I think I got hit from behind by the two dogs. They were running on the beach. But now, in hindsight, I really don't know what happened. I know that I got knocked down by them, but I'm really unclear about what happened, if I got hit from the front or the back. But I went down, and I am kind of laughing. There was this young woman who said to me as I'm laying on the ground, she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not okay." And she said, "Can I help you get up?" And I said, "No, I need to lay here." So I laid there on the beach. It seemed like for 5 minutes. It probably wasn't that long. I laid there. It probably was not that long.
Like catch your breath and organize your thoughts.
Yes, and then she's so sweet because she said, "Well, I'll just get rid of this bag for you." So she took his bag of business and threw it away. And then I finally get up and I go over and sit on a bench, and I felt terrible. I don't really know how to describe how I felt. My neck hurt it wasn't like a sharp pain, but just this throbbing pain in my neck. I was very disoriented. The top and back of my head was all tingling, and I didn't hit my head on anything. I think what happened is I got hit. So I think I got hit from behind, but again, I don't really know what happened because it seemed clear at the time, but I realized I don't really know what happened.
From what you described, it sounds like you were knocked out a little bit.
I think I was.
Yeah.
But I was so disoriented, and as more time progressed, I realized I didn't know what was going on. And the guy who had the two dogs, he stayed for maybe 20 minutes or so, and then he left with the dogs. He never came over and said anything to me at all. And so then this young woman, she was there about 45 minutes, and she said, well, she had to go home, but she wanted to check on me. And I said, I just going to ask, did that guy ever say anything to me? And she said, yes, when you were laying on the ground. He said, I'm sorry. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
The poor guy.
Well, and here's the thing. I do not blame those dogs. Because dogs don't have one bit of maliciousness in them at all. They just were having fun, and they did not do it intentionally. It was
you were in the way.
I was in the way of their fun, and I don't blame the owner either because you can't really control. You can control your dogs to a point, but something like that happens so fast you can't control them at all. And he must have just been mortified. And I really think, honestly, the reason why he didn't come over to check on me is he probably just didn't know what to say. He probably was like, "I just need to leave.
What do I do? What do I say?" Yeah,
right. He probably just didn't know what to. He was probably embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Yeah, I just hung out there I always hang out for about 2 hours, and then I took him and washed him. I was feeling better, but I don't feel good today. Mm-hmm. And I can tell people this. No one will think less of me if I tell. But I was telling you, Kelly, remember about how yesterday I had these just fits of crying. And I don't know if that's just the I sat on the bench crying. And again, I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I think it was just the shock of what happened to me. And then it could have been, my brain probably got jostled. I think really what happened is that I didn't hit my head on anything, but I think just my head must have kind of been whipped back a little bit or something. Yeah. Because my neck really hurts today. And yesterday when I was just sitting on that bench, like the whole back and top of my head was tingling and kind of ached. So I think my brain got jostled in its container.
Yeah.
It's like someone shook the jar of pickles and bruised them.
I sure hope you have more than pickles in there.
Anyway, so I feel better today. I actually got together with two of our listeners and today and went to a yarn shop and had lunch but I feel okay, like brain wise, and I've not been crying. So if I do start crying in the podcast uncontrollably, you can edit that out.
Right.
But I just hurt now. My body hurts, and my neck really hurts, and my whole back hurts. I think just that impact of. And even though I was
falling anytime is just at our age hurts.
Yeah, it's like we
don't bounce anymore.
We're not two.
Yeah. Little kids bounce, but...
Yeah, they bounce, and I didn't bounce. I went down.
At a certain age, you don't bounce anymore. Oh, my gosh.
Anyway, so I have to say, Enzo was just, like, all over me, like... As I was laying on the ground, I was aware of him like snuffling around me. So that's nice to know my dog was protective of me. But so if I'm weird in this episode, that's why, because my pickle jar got sloshed.
Okay. But if you've been weird in previous episodes, it was just
I have
you.
No excuse. I guess if I'm weirder than normal, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Oh, so well, I'm sorry that you don't feel good. That hurt. That sounds painful. Very painful. Yeah, it was. I hope you're feeling better soon.
Yeah, it was just. I have to say, it was just super weird because I don't really remember. I mean, I know it. I don't know how to describe it. I know what happened, but I don't know what happened. There's these huge periods that are just like not there.
Yeah.
Which Ben has had a couple of concussions with mountain biking, and that big one that he had at the dirt jumps, they end up in the Harborview for 3 days, and so now I kind of know how he feels. He felt wonky, for weeks. So, and that was pretty severe what he had. So, anyway, but that's what's going on with me. So. What else? What about you? Anything to just update us on before we start talking about projects?
Today was a meeting day, so I had a big meeting in the afternoon, and it went well. I'm the chair of our curriculum committee at work, and so the meeting went well. It was our first meeting we have a kind of a new process that we're doing, and it was our first meeting of this new process. So it's always nice when that goes well.
Well, I have to say, meetings really are not fun.
I actually enjoy them. Well, it depends on what kind of meetings they are. But I mostly enjoy them because if they're meetings where I don't really have to be involved too much, I can always knit. I always have something, I always have something to show for it, whether it's a good meeting or a bad meeting. I have something to show for it. And then this one I can't knit because I'm chairing the meeting. But this one is always interesting. So I don't. But see, I've been there for over 30 years, so I can pick and choose who I work with, and choose not to work with the people I don't want to work with. So the meetings I go to are always things I enjoy. So, that's the privilege of having been there for so long.
Well, and I would say honestly, I don't have very many meetings. So now, because I don't work, so I don't have very many meetings. I just have, Anyway, so how about projects? Should we talk a little bit about projects?
We can, yeah. I started a new project. I had a cast on. I think I was talking about the last episode how I was going to immediately cast on after the show was over because I didn't have anything. Remember, I just had the crochet project. So
Right.
I've got this, it's called Running Water, and it's a cardigan, and I'm using this coned cashmere that I've had, I don't know, since 2014 or something in my stash so it's not the oldest stash I have, but it is kind of getting long in the tooth. And I'm pairing it with Chickadee in the colorway Illusion, which is kind of a blue-green, a dusty teal color. And then the cashmere is just a natural brown color.
So I was looking at the pattern, and it's not striped. So how are you planning on doing the stripes?
I'm still not quite sure. I think I haven't used any of the new color yet. I think the color is going to be toward the bottom of the sweater, so more along toward the hem, and then on the sleeves, like in the forearm area. And I don't know if I'll do like the Funky Grandpa, where I'll make several small stripes in the forearm area, or if I'll do maybe a couple of bigger ones, or I'm not positive. I'm not actually sure how much. I mean, I know how much yarn I have, but this has one of those bands like neck bands. And so I was kind of thinking, well, should I make the whole neck band in this? I don't think I want to, because I want the cashmere against my neck, not the Chickadee.
So is the neck band added after you knit the body?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm kind of going to play it by ear and save out a little bit. I have some decisions to make. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do at this point. Somebody did suggest there's a V, kind of like a back yoke V shape of 1x1 ribbing. And Robbie, Photo Knit Gal, she's not Photo Knit Gal anymore. She's something else. I can't remember. Boxy Sweater Gal, I think, is her Ravelry name. She said, "Oh, you might want to do Intarsia. You've done Intarsia. You could do Intarsia and do the whole V in the Chickadee." And I thought about that for a little bit, because I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. I never thought, that wasn't one of my original thoughts. And then I decided that was too much work.
Yeah.
So I did not do that. Plus, the two yarns one is fingering weight and the other one is sport. And so I was kind of afraid that if I was doing like the whole back in the sport weight instead of just a stripe, it might not work well. So anyway, I haven't put the new color in yet. I'm about to the point where you put the sleeves on waste yarn. And the construction, I was telling you, it's interesting construction. I don't know if that's really true that it's interesting. It's interesting to me because I have not done this construction before. But you do like a rectangle. You do like a rectangle to start, and then you pick up stitch. So that's the back, and then you pick up stitches on the front.
I'm pulling this up as you're talking about it. I'm looking on my iPad.
See, I'm trying to think how this worked now. How did I get the sleeves on? Now I don't remember. So yeah, you pick up stitches along the edge of a rectangle for the sleeve, and then you just knit the sleeves onto the garment. So I've never made something that didn't have short rows in the sleeves, or wasn't raglan. I mean, you do kind of like raglan increases, but they're not raglan sleeves because they're all happening at the edge, right? Like at the sleeve seam line. All the increases are happening at the sleeve seam line.
Oh, I see.
Not like going out from your neck. So I think it's an interesting construction. I don't know if it's unusual or not. I've mostly done raglan sweaters. So I don't have a lot of experience with different kinds of sleeve constructions. So I don't know how this is going to work, but I like it so far. And I really like the ribbing in the back. It looks cozy. Yeah. And then I'm not doing it in reverse stockinette. The pattern is in reverse stockinette with the ribbing, 1x1 ribbing detail along the back.
Oh, yes.
So I'm not doing it in reverse stockinette. I'm doing it in
okay.
stockinette, which requires some thought.
Yes.
Because when it says purl, I have to remember. And the part where it says, purl to the end. Okay, I understand I'm doing stockinette. I know what to do. Mm-hmm. But the part where it's purl 1, knit 2, purl 3, knit 1, whenever there's anything where I have to do purls and knits, I have to remember that I'm actually doing the reverse.
Yes.
It's coming out good.
Does this have it looks like this has cuffs that, they roll back.
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Only because I don't think I'll have enough yarn.
Right.
I like that kind of sleeve, a rolled sleeve, because I'm short. I often, sleeves of things, I have to roll them. So that's a normal kind of sleeve for me. But I have 1,000 yards of cashmere, and I want to say maybe 500 yards, 400 yards of the sport weight.
Oh, Kelly, I'm looking at this. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, wait a minute. Oh, I thought I saw somebody else who had done it with they changed it instead of reverse stockinette, it's stockinette, but I'm wrong. Never mind.
I didn't see anyone else who did it that way. There's not a lot of patterns, or not a lot of projects.
There's only 19 projects.
Yeah, the designer is Claudia Eisenkolb, and I think it's a pretty new pattern. Yeah, August 2018, so it's a fairly new pattern. And when I saw it, it looked like it was exactly what I was, I say that. It was exactly what I was looking for, except I'm not doing it in reverse stockinette. I'm doing it in stockinette. I'm not folding the sleeves. I'm using the sleeves just straight, and I'm not putting in pockets. And it's not going to be solid. It's going to be
this is how you,
color blocked.
And Kelly, this is how you cook.
Yes. That's exactly what I want to make, except... Yeah. And it's kind of fun, but it's a little bit of a problem at the same time, because I'm going to run into decision points. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to have to be stalled while I decide what to do next. But so far I like it. I like the way the fabric feels. The cashmere's nice. I think it's going to be a little bit itchy around my neck, but I'm going to make the neckband so that it's the first part of the neckband is cashmere, so that's the part that will be at my neck, and then the part that folds will be the chickadee, because the chickadee is not quite as soft as the cashmere. So it's exciting. I'm glad to have a sweater on the needles again after having nothing.
Yeah.
0 on the needles for so long. So I still only have 2 work in progress, but that's going to change soon, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So, what about your projects?
Well, I've been working on Eba. Mm-hmm. So, as you remember, I had to rip the whole thing out.
Yeah.
And let me remind people who because I have not been feeling good, I did not make any notes before we record. People may not believe this, but we actually do make notes.
Right. Well, and I think you make more extensive notes than I do.
Anyway, I didn't make any notes, so bear with me. I've got the iPad. So it's, that's right, Bon Marie Burns. Mm-hmm. And this is the one that I did not alternate skeins. And so I've ripped the whole thing out, and I have finished the body. And I'm almost done with the first sleeve. I have probably another 3 inches of the first sleeve.
Okay.
So I'm really coming along, and I was concerned because I'm alternating every 2 rows. I'm changing. So and the reason on the body, because the front and backs are worked together. So I would just do, 2 rows, change colors,
right?
Right,
because it's flat,
out and back.
Yeah, it's flat.
Yeah, flat. Yeah. And so the sleeves, I'm doing the same thing. So I'm having to really keep track of.
Oh, okay.
What I always do, everybody has their own way of tracking rows. Like some people use a row counter. I think I'm a much more visual person. So I usually just get graph paper and write numbers, like 1 to 100, and then keep track. So, like, for instance, I have every 8 rows, I do a decrease for the sleeves. So I just have, numbers 1 through 100, and then I just count every 8 rows, put a circle around the number, so I know that's when where I'm supposed to do a decrease. And then every odd row, every odd number, I should say, I change colors.
Okay.
That's how I'm keeping track of. So I have all my little scratch paper that I'm doing all of this on. But anyway, so yeah, it's really coming along, and I think it looks really nice. And I'm doing the technique that we had discussed last episode where when I change the colors, I wrap the working yarn around the needle. And then when I come back to it, I drop it. And that's making a nice...
so it's not really stretched.
It's not pulling at all.
Oh, that's good.
It looks really nice.
That's good.
So I leave Saturday. We're headed down to the Washington coast for a week. So I'm going to bring this, and my plan is to finish it down there at the beach. So I should get it done.
You should be able.
There'll be a lot of knitting time.
Well, that's good.
And then, so that's all I have for projects.
Okay.
I mean, I just because I've been working on this exclusively, haven't finished my combo spin. That's just sitting, all the yarn's just sitting in a bowl. I haven't done anything with it because I just really wanted to finish this and get it off the needle so I can move on to other projects.
Right. Yeah. So, I know your plan was to finish it while Ben was gone, and then you had to rip it out and start over. So now your plan is to finish it.
Yeah, I think I had to rip it out. I ripped it out I think I ripped it out.
It was during the fair.
Yes.
Or right after.
That's right, because I called you. You were at the fair when I called you just to sort of talk myself through it.
And it wasn't that long after. I think I might have still been at the fair, or maybe it was right after the fair that you said you ripped. Because you had ripped it out before the last podcast, and the last episode was right after the fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're making really good progress.
Yeah, and I've talked about this before, but I love this yarn. I love the way it feels. It's kind of silky feeling.
Yeah.
And there's no silk in it, but it's rambouillet, and it's just really, and it's very bouncy, boingy. Like you squeeze it, and it's boing, boing.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah. And this is the more textured version of the rambouillet.
Yeah.
And then the one that we have in the shop. Well, we have a couple of skeins of the more textured rambouillet, but the one we have in the shop now is the more smooth worsted spun. Rambouillet, but it is a really bouncy yarn, more so than it's fine like merino, but it has a lot more elasticity, I think, than merino has.
Yeah,
it's pretty. The color's really nice.
Yeah, no, I really like it, and as I talked about before, I know better than to not alternate skeins, and I think this is really good that this happened because I think it's alternating the skeins. It's blending the color more, and so it's made it actually a richer looking fabric. The color looks a lot richer. So,
and I think when you wash it too, I mean, even if you can kind of see like lines from what I've experienced is even when I can see lines from the rows, when I'm alternating skeins, when you wash it and everything kind of settles together, you get even more blending. Yeah. So I think you're going to really like that sweater. And it's kind of the same shape as the one I'm making.
Yeah, it's very much the same shape, and that's why I was asking about the collar, because this one, the collar's actually knit as it's knit part of the body. But it has that same kind of shawl collar. Now, yours actually turns over. This one doesn't, but it is the way it's designed. It's going to be up around my neck. And I think this will be really, really nice fabric around my neck. I don't think it's going to itch at all.
Yeah.
It's going to be
That's nice. Well, everything makes my neck itch, but...
I know.
I live with it.
I'm sorry, Kelly. I'm sorry you are who you are. But you can't help it,
No, and it's funny because this time of year in the fall is the worst. And I have no idea if this is real or if it's in my head. But always in the fall, I get more itchy. And then I take, when I feel like I'm getting more itchy, I take vitamin B complex vitamins, and that seems to help. But there have been days, oh my gosh, in the last week, whereas when I get home from work And I love my hand knit socks. But there have been days this last few weeks where I get home from work, it's like I cannot rip the socks off fast enough. Like, I have to get these wool socks off my feet. I cannot take it anymore.
That's how I feel about my jeans. I have to take these jeans off.
Oh, yeah. So I feel a little bit guilty that I have to take my wool socks off so that I can put on fleecy plastic socks. Those polar fleecy socks. Mm-hmm. But oh my gosh, most of the time it's not so bad. But my feet are not that sensitive. But recently it's been, oh my gosh, awful. Just I have to get them off so fast. They feel fine in the morning, but by the end of the day, get these things off my feet. It only lasts for a little while, and for some reason, again, I don't know if it's placebo effect or if it's real, but for some reason, the vitamin B seems to help. So,
well, what I was going to say is that you go the entire summer really not wearing socks, probably. Is that? Well, I don't know.
I wear
climate,
socks.
You have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then my theory was you've gone the entire summer not wearing socks, and now you're wearing socks, so that could be part of it. But that doesn't hold up in your.
It is true. I go the whole summer not wearing shoes, and it could just be the combination, like the discomfort of the shoes, like just tips me over the breaking point. The breaking point of discomfort, and then nothing feels comfortable. Yeah. So that could definitely be true because it's always in fall. It doesn't make me itch when I'm playing with fleece. Mm-hmm. But speaking of playing with fleece,
yes,
I've been playing in the garage. Mm-hmm. Robert got rid of. We had the big chair and rocking chair and love seat. Mm-hmm. So to let listeners in on it, Robert's dad had gone to see one of his contemporaries. I think probably it was a funeral or a memorial service or something, and he was visiting some family member, and they had this set of furniture on their back porch. And it was really heavy. Mm-hmm. Like big and blocky, but kind of scrolly, sort of Victorian-ish. Mm-hmm. Don't you think that's right? They're like the arms had like these big curly cues. Yeah.
Like the arm came, if you can imagine, like the arm came and then it had a big spiral.
Yeah, but big and thick, like 4 inches, not like these tiny little turned wood carving things. And then claws on the bottom of the feet, which parts of the claw had been either cut off, or Mark said that they usually weren't in one piece, and so the edge part often would come off. Yeah. So that it was missing the edge of the claw. Anyway, Robert's dad had it at his house, and one day we were there. This was a few years back, and he said we were getting stuff out of his garage, helping him get stuff out of his garage by taking it. Some Christmas decorations of Robert's mom who has passed away, and some other things that we were taking. And he said, "Oh yeah, do you want this?" And I said, "Yeah," because it was so interesting. I'd never seen any furniture like it before. I've seen sort of curly-Q kind of furniture with claw feet, but never anything so bulky and massive.
Dramatic.
Yeah, exactly.
They're definitely statement pieces.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, and Robert was like, what? Like, yeah, where are you going to put that? I don't know, but I think it's cool. So anyway, it ended up in the garage, and I took the upholstery off of it, and then I didn't have anything to put on it yet, but I was going to get it reupholstered. In the meanwhile, I just put some pillows on it, and I was using it, and I'd sit on it when I was in the garage. So Robert was going through stuff and cleaning out, and he's like, I have to get rid of this. It's just taking up space. You're not going to get it recovered, and where are you going to put it anyway? And
and how many years have you had it, Kelly?
Probably 5, maybe more. Yeah, so nothing had happened with it. So he said, okay, I'm going to get rid of it. And I said, oh, all right. Because the truth of the matter is, if he got rid of it, I get more space in the garage.
Right.
So he put it out on the driveway, Literally 3 minutes. 3 minutes before someone came. And it was somebody from Seaside, which is like one of the next towns over. And he was so excited to get it. And he was going to put it on his patio, which my first thought was, ooh, on the patio? It's like wood furniture. But, maybe he has a covered patio. It was on a back porch before.
Right. It spent years on a back
yes.
porch.
So, it's not like he's going to put it out like, well, I don't know where he's going to put it. I have no idea because I didn't meet him.
And it's now none of your business.
That's right. So. It makes no difference to me. But but anyway, so it's gone now. So the garage has more room. So then Robert rearranged a whole bunch of stuff and opened up a whole bunch of space. And so we were able to move my big loom, which is a 64-inch weaving width. That's like unbelievable to me to have that much weaving width on a loom. This thing is huge. 12 harnesses. So we moved that loom out into the garage where it actually has room and I can use it. We moved the 36-inch loom back into the house. So it's back where it used to be, which is
in your studio?
Yeah, in the house studio. So that's nice. It's a nice spot for weaving in the winter because the sun comes through there. Starting in the fall, the sun comes in that window really nicely. And it'll be a nice spot to weave in. But then I'll have the big loom out in the garage. And I'm going to put a small project on it, just enough to make a loom bench. So I'm not going to, usually I make, whatever I'm doing, I make a warp that's like at least 3 of those things, So your warp is long enough. So it's long enough to be worth the trouble.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a small project, and it's going to be narrow. So just wide enough to be a bench on the, a pad on the loom bench. And so, but I'm going to use more than 4 harnesses. That's going to be the learning thing that I'm going to do, is to do a pattern that takes more than 4 harnesses, because I've never used a loom that has more than 4 harnesses before. Yeah. So that'll be really fun. And the garage looks great. And then you put shelves, little tiny shelves, like the garage is unfinished and it's old wood. It looks like redwood, but he says it's not. And then between the studs, he's put in these little shelves that are made out of a shelving unit that we found in the garage when we moved in. And we have since discovered, we think it is the built-in.
Oh, from the inside
studio, yeah. So when I took all the old cabinets out of the inside studio, there was this big open space that we figured out had been originally a built-in that had been taken out, had been removed when they put in the shelving probably in the 50s. So now we have discovered, we think we've solved the mystery, that this shelving unit that was in the garage was actually the bookshelf that was in the studio. So, but it's not going back in there. It's been cannibalized. We didn't know, and it wouldn't have worked anyway, but he's made shelves out of it. So he cut the width so I have, quite a few little shelves in between the studs. So that's nice. And so I've been out there working and playing with fleece, and then I have room to lay out a table and sort through fleeces. And then I had one of the listeners said, they were interested in doing a breed study. And so we communicated about what fleece is. And so I wrangled quite a few pounds of fleece into a box to send it off.
So how did you do? So describe that experience. Well, how did you do that?
Well, so I had it all in plastic bags, right? And theoretically, Ziploc bags, you can squish them down really small and then zip them closed, but they're not airtight.
Yeah, they're not.
So the air
sucks
back in. Which I don't
understand. How can they not be airtight, but they can hold liquids in there?
They don't really. If you turn them over,
they leak.
They leak. Well, I've had them leak. So, yeah, there's at least small enough spaces for air to get back in. But the idea is if you can get all the air out of them, you can get them really small, right? So I do that. I put them all in a couple of tote bags. I trot on down to the post office because I'm trying to figure out what size box is going to work and how much it's going to cost. And I don't want it to, be exorbitant shipping.
Right.
So I go up to the counter, and they kind of know me there because I ship stuff. And so the woman in the post office, she's trying to take my tote bags and like stack them on top of each other on the scale to see how much it weighs, so she can get a price. She can kind of price out what the shipping is going to be. So she's doing that, and that's not working. So then she's taking all these Ziploc bags out of the tote bags, and she's like stacking them like blocks, precariously, like a Jenga or something, on the scale to kind of get to get them all there, so she can have the weight, so she can, do the thing on the computer that gives the shipping costs. So she does all that. And, trying to hold them there so they don't fall off, and precariously. And then you have to, like, put your hands away because you have to actually get a weight. So it was pretty funny. I don't know. It's a good thing there wasn't a lot of people in the post office at that time, because she and I were taking up quite a bit of time to do this. So then she gave me the quote of the price. And so then she said, I think you can get them all in that box. It seems like you should be able to squish them. And she was real curious about what it was and what I was doing with it, and how interesting and beautiful it was. And so then I go off to the side of the post.
Oh, a woman after her own heart.
Yeah.
She thinks they're beautiful.
Yeah, she thought the raw fleece in the bag was beautiful.
Not like, they stink.
Right. So then I go off to the side of the post office, and I get and she says, put the box together, but don't use a lot of tape. Just kind of tape it together in case it doesn't work. So I kind of tape the box on the bottom, and I'm putting this Ziploc bags in, and then they're not all fitting. So then I'm like kneeling, I'm on the floor at the post office, like kneeling on the Ziploc bags and closing them, and then really fast stuffing them into the box so they don't expand again. So I get them all in, and then the last one I just opened. I didn't even Ziploc it. I just laid it open because I knew it would squish. It would squish. So I just squished it down, and I taped it up. But it was so funny. I'm glad it wasn't busy at the post office, because I could just imagine what I must have looked like on the floor wrestling with fleece. But that was pretty fun, and it was a nice little sampler of, like, I think it was 6 different kinds of fleece that got sent out. So yeah, if any listeners are interested in a little sampler, I don't have it up in the shop as an item, but if you contact me, use the contact us page in the shop, or Two Ewes at twoewesfiberadventures.com. I can, have a conversation with you about what you want, what I have, and how much, and all that kind of thing. So we could do kind of a custom batch. But that was quite fun.
And you can have this experience once again.
Right. Right.
Now
Yeah, wrestling fleece in the post office. So when I had to go back, because the Oxford fleece that I bought, I was sharing again with one of the listeners, Angela, and so I was shipping the Oxford fleece because she had said, if you buy the Oxford, I'm interested in sharing it with you. So I was shipping the Oxford fleece, and so I was back there yesterday. That was only 1.5 pounds, so there was not as much wrestling involved. But I come up to the counter, and she's like, "Oh, you again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have another little bit of fleece to." It's like, "Same thing, huh?" I said, "Yeah, the same thing." So.
I was just sitting here when you were talking about this. Just think of the things they probably have people coming to the counter wanting to mail.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure a fleece is not that.
It's bizarre. Not the most unusual thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not the most unusual thing that they've shipped before.
No.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, and then somebody who was in line yesterday said, "Oh, is that wool?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "We were just at the fair." where do you get wool? And I said, at the fair.
At the fair, yeah.
He said, oh, we were just at the fair, and my daughter got to see the spinning wheel where Sleeping Beauty pricked her finger. Well, of course, that's my wheel. I didn't say that, but because I don't know if I was even there, because there were other people. You know, there were times when I wasn't at the fair, but my wheel was there. But yeah, it was kind of funny. He was talking about my wheel and his daughter seeing my wheel. So
cute.
Yeah. So that's my garage project and my weaving plans. So, but Marsha, what about the learn along?
Yes, we need to talk about that. So let's talk. Well, what would you like to talk about first? Projects, or do you want to talk about prizes? Let's talk about prizes.
Yeah, let me tell you about prizes. I think everyone's going to be excited about this. We had a listener, Small Bird Workshop, who messaged me, and she has patterns. Her name is Catherine Knudsen, and she has patterns, and she also has a little yarn shop. And she has donated patterns for prizes for the Learn Along, which is really exciting. So thank you, Catherine.
Very nice. They're nice patterns, too.
Yeah.
They're really cute designs.
Some socks that I'm interested in, some patterned socks, and quite a few other things. Shawls, some interesting lacy shawls. Yeah, so, go look at Small Bird Workshop, her design store. Take a look at the patterns, because she has donated 5 coupon codes for free patterns for prizes for the Learn Along. So are you learning anything?
Well, no. Not yet. But I have some thoughts, because I've just been focusing on the sweater. But there's 2 things. Well, I had talked initially when we talked about the Learn Along. I was going to take a color work class. I still am planning on doing that, because I have that. I need a refresher course in color work, and I want to finish the tea cozy that I started for our Sheep Thrills. But there's 2 other things I'm thinking of. I realize that most of the knitting I can't say most of the knitting. All of the knitting I do is for myself. And I have a lot of yarn that I need to just start using up and getting rid of. And the things I realize, just because you take something from out of your stash and you make something for yourself, you still have it in your house. It's still taking up space. So I need to start knitting things that I give away. So I'm going to knit a pair of socks for my brother. And when I was at Stitches, I think you bought yarn at Leading Men Fiber Arts.
I did.
So I bought a skein of Soliloquy. It's 100% superwash BFL, and the colorway is Man of Mystery. It's sort of, I want to say it's kind of denim. It reminds me of denim. It has teal in it, and a lot of sort of charcoal gray, a little bit of a lighter gray, and then the teal, some sort of splotches of lighter teal. But it's really lots of yardage. It has 657 yards.
I have one of those skeins too, yeah. A really high yardage skein of sock yarn, which is nice.
Yeah. So I showed it to my brother, and he said he likes the color. And it actually was funny, because he said, wondering what he would wear them with. And I was laughing, because you just wear hand knit socks with anything.
Right.
You don't have to match the color. But anyway, so I'm going to make socks, but I'm going to do, I always want to, the one episode where we talked about our sock recipes that we use, I always just do the top down. And I think this time I'm going to do toe up, which I've not done before, and do an afterthought heel, which I've not done. And I was thinking, when I wind this yarn into balls, I'm going to separate it by weight, so I'll have even balls.
Okay.
And then do toe up, so I can use up all the yarn, so he can have them longer. Because normally, when I make my socks, I do it from the cuff down, so I always make the length about 7 inches, and sometimes I end up with lots of yarn left over. So, and I'm the kind of person that I like to use up all the yarn. I don't want to have any little bits left over. So I thought, well, if I do toe up and an afterthought heel, then what I'll do is I have all kinds of sock yarn in my stash that are solids, and I have some gray that might work, that I could just add into this for the afterthought heel. And I was even thinking, if there's such a thing as doing an afterthought toe, I just do a provisional cast on. So then both the toe and the heel would be in a contrasting color.
Yeah, that will work.
So that's what I was thinking. And then the other thing I was thinking is, it was over the winter, and I think it was, on Ravelry, there's just the pattern highlights pop up. Mm-hmm. And there was a rabbit, and it's just, the pattern's just called Rabbit by Claire Garland. And I am not this way about toys, knitted toys, of like falling in love with them. Mm-hmm. But this rabbit, there's something about this rabbit.
Yeah, I have to go look now because I have never heard you talk about a knitted toy ever.
Okay, so look up Claire Garland, Garland.
And the pattern's name is just Rabbit?
Rabbit. And when I first saw this pattern, it wasn't, you couldn't buy the pattern. She was still working on it, and it became available in March. And there's 119 projects just since March.
Oh, I see it. Oh my gosh.
Is that the cutest thing you've ever seen?
That is darling. She also has one I see that's called Rabbit Trophy that's like a head.
Yes.
Just the head.
And she has like a woodland series, like there's a little fawn. Okay.
Yes, I remember these coming up in my highlights, my pattern highlights too. I think
they're very I think what's so appealing about them is they're so realistic.
Right.
Like the faces on the rabbits are so, they're just super appealing. I don't know how to describe them, but they're very realistic. And then, of course, the photographs, the way she poses them, they're like in little nests and grass.
Little twigs around them.
Twigs, yeah.
In the strawberries, yeah. No, This is a cute pattern.
I know. So I'm thinking I might make that rabbit.
Oh, you should. That would be good.
Yeah.
It's knitted in one piece flat.
Yes. And I was thinking...
Oh, here you go. It's available in Danish, Marsha. You could... Talk about a learn-along. Frank would be proud.
He would be proud. Well, I've talked about this in a previous episode. My mother knit my father a Norwegian sweater when they lived in Norway in Norwegian. Yeah. The pattern was in Norwegian, so I could follow my mother. Maybe I could knit it in Danish. So anyway, okay, I bought the pattern already, and I printed it out, and it's like that little rabbit is 9 pages long.
Oh my gosh. No, this is cute. This is very cute. I'm excited.
Is that sort of the way, with your octopus?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was love at first sight. Mm-hmm.
Love at first sight, and that rabbit, I think, is love at first sight.
It was I couldn't not think about the hippo. Mm-hmm. When I
the hippo
made
too,
that hippo, and I could not think about the octopus. Mm-hmm. And I never made toys before. It's like, I'm not interested. I never say never. I am never going to make toys.
And think of all the toys you've made.
Yeah, all those Star Wars. And a Marshall. I think it was Marshall of the Paw Patrol. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so those are the two things. I think maybe just the rabbit, and then I do want to just start another pair of socks. So because I did promise him those socks, so I might do 2 things. I might actually have 3 things I'll be doing. I don't know. Because I've got till the end of November, right?
Yeah, there's plenty of time.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time. So
But I do think with that rabbit, though, I have to find the right kind of yarn. I think it has to be something kind of fuzzy, like...
I'll send you some mohair.
Mohair or something.
Some gold mohair. It's not the right color, though.
Yeah, it has to, in fact, I'm going to go through my stash and see what I have, or like cashmere. I have a skein of sort of taupey colored cashmere.
Mm-hmm, that would be good. She has one called Baby Bunny that's really darling, too. Mm-hmm. But the rabbit one is really cute. He has a cute face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she has. I'm looking at her pattern. She has dolls, too.
Yeah. And she also has, when I print out the pattern, there's actually, there's a link to a YouTube video about how you then sew the rabbit together.
Oh, okay.
And it's like Okay, I am sounding a little nuts, but I do have a head injury. I'm going to chalk it up to that. It's like watching the YouTube video. It's sort of like this rabbit comes to life.
Yeah.
It's very weird, but anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So those are what I'm kind of thinking.
Oh my goodness.
Learn.
She has a blue tit. You know, the bird? Mm-hmm. It looks totally real. Okay. Yeah. I need to get off this page. My mom has, sometimes she'll do a theme for Christmas, and one year her theme was woodland. This would have been perfect. I could have been knitting all year long just for my mother's Christmas.
I may have started something. I may have started you down a path that you don't want to go down.
Yeah, no, I can't. I have to click off. Because I have my own plans.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Claire Garland. Go there, look at her patterns.
Go there, cute. Look at your own risk.
That's right. Thinking of the socks that you're going to use, the Leading Men Fiber Arts, I have some Leading Men Fiber Arts, and I'm thinking about making a couple of pair, because I think I have enough yarn to do this, of Argyle socks, but not using solids. Mm-hmm. So, the skeins of yarn that I have from them are not solid. They're not like striping, but they're kind of variegated.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I have 2 different colors. I think one's kind of a gray. I don't have them right with me, so I don't remember, but I got them at Stitches too. And I was in the Argyle frenzy, but I bought these 2 skeins of sock yarn to make just regular socks. But I think after I brought them home, I started thinking that, I could make Argyle socks with not solid colors. Mm-hmm. So I think my next cast on is going to be a pair of Argyle socks. No, they're going to be a gift, so it's going to be one of those projects I can't post on Instagram, but I can talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
But a pair of Argyle socks using the Leading Men Fiber Arts, the colors that I have. Mm-hmm. So I think is a variegated gray and a variegated, I want to say blue, but honestly I can't remember. That was in February. That yarn's in the bag. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I want to make a pair of Argyle socks for my brother-in-law and my brother for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And I think I can get 2 pair of Argyle socks out of so I bought 2 or 3 skeins there. And I think I can make there's a combination I can make work for Argyles with variegated colors. So that I think will be interesting. So that's kind of in my learning queue.
Is there anything else? Because I have one other thing I just want to mention.
That you're going to do in the learn along or general?
Well, topic? It's not the learn along, but it's something I have.
I have a one more learn along thing.
Okay, because I don't want to interrupt.
So, well, it's all right. Go ahead.
I just did, but
So, I belong to the Niebling group because of the Niebling. I don't remember his first. Herbert, I think. Herbert Niebling is a designer who designed up until I think the 60s, and I made the doily. He does a lot of really organic looking lace patterns. And so I'm a member of this Niebling group, and they're having a knit along that starts in January. So why am I talking about it now? There's 2 projects you can choose from, and both projects that you can choose from have several iterations. You can put the pieces together in different ways to make like a tablecloth or a table runner or whatever. And I'm not positive whether the woman who's putting the chart together, these patterns are now in the public domain. I'm not sure whether she's putting the chart together from written instructions or if she's putting the chart together from looking at the knitting. I think it must be from written instructions. So she's putting the charts together for this knit along that they're going to do in 2019. So the pattern is being worked on right now to make the pattern available to everybody who wants to join. And of course I want to join. Right? So she has a project page for this project of putting together the pattern. And the project page is called the 2019 KAL, K-A-L, Sammelsurium, Sammelsurium, Sammelsurium. I'm not sure what that is. And so this is her project to put together the patterns. And there's a table runner, and there's a square tablecloth, and then there's a different pattern, and it has a square tablecloth and a table runner. And she's charting out all of these patterns. But in the meanwhile, she's making a little, she calls it an appetizer. Or swatch. I like appetizer. That's kind of cool. Because we're all sort of hungry to get to this project, right?
Right.
And so she's put out this pattern to all of us who are doing the KAL. She's put out this pattern that is a doily, a small doily that has the different needling. There's 2 of them, and they have the different needling things, like the mesh lace. There's some sort of characteristic parts of his knitting patterns. A mesh lace, like knit 9 together. Different things that come up in these patterns. So I have this doily pattern now, and I'm itching to get started on it. And I think I'm going to do it in the rest of that linen that I used for that top, the sincere sheep linen, that gold linen. So I think I'm going to do my swatch. I know that's not the point. The point is to swatch in the yarn that you're going to use. So you know, right, how it's going to knit. But I think I'm going to do this appetizer swatch, not so much to know how my yarn is going to work, but to know, kind of get practice on the pattern.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to use that that really pretty gold linen. And then I have another linen that I might use for the actual real project. But for right now, I mean, that doesn't start till 2019. My nearest possible cast on here for the knit along, for the learn along, besides the Argyle socks, is this Niebling doily. So exciting.
Yeah.
Teeny
Very
tiny
cool.
lace stitches. And she tells you how many stitches, because of course, if you chart it out, it's easy to know how many stitches. So like the project, the real project, there's one version of it that has 286,000 stitches plus the stitches for the center. That's a lot of stitches. I mean, I don't know how does it compare to a sweater? I have no idea. Maybe it's exactly the same. I have no idea how many. I've never counted my stitches before. But it's just kind of cool to know how many there are. Right? Although you might not ever start a project if you read how many stitches there were total.
Yep, right.
In the project before you started. You might not. Oh dear. But that's the other learn along is another Niebling. It's just fun to think about. Those are my knitting dreams. So what else do you have?
Well, this is not really for the learn along, but it's just another project that I'm thinking of. I've been cleaning out, and I found down in the basement a box of 2 projects that were unfinished.
Ooh.
And one of them is yarn that I bought when Paul and I got married. We honeymooned on Orcas Island, and I bought this yarn. I bought 3 skeins of this yarn, and I came home and I went to the yarn shop and I found a pattern and I started making this vest. And I have the back is done and 3/4 of the front is done. But if I finished it, it would, and it's a cables and garter stitch, like a combination of cables and garter stitch. So, and it's very, very dense. I think the needles are, I think I've learned a lot since 1995.
Well, and things have changed too.
And things have changed. And so I think it's too dense. And the pattern, the vest just comes to my waist. And I don't like that. I want something longer. So I decided I'm going to rip it out. And I have. But I have to tell you, it's funny. I bought this, and this is how little I knew about knitting. So I was so excited. This was at a shop on Orcas Island called The Naked Lamb. And it's really cute. The little logo, the graphic is a sheep. Half the sheep has wool on it. The other half doesn't have wool. And then there's a line of yarn coming from or a line of like roving going from the sheep to a spinning wheel.
Right.
Really cute. Anyway, I looked online and I think the shop is long gone. It doesn't exist anymore. But I have all this information in the bag, and the yarn is called Dyed in the Wool, hand-painted yarn of exceptional beauty. And when I bought it, I thought the woman had dyed it herself. It's not. It's dyed in the United States. I think I looked it up, and it's in the South someplace. Oh, here. There's a little tag. Crowley, Louisiana. It's from Crowley, Louisiana. Anyway,
all the way to Orcas Island.
Yeah, but in 1995, I paid $44 a skein.
Oh my God!
I know. I was drunk in love, I guess. And Paul was drunk in love that he said, "Yeah, go ahead and spend it."
Yeah.
So $44 a skein. I have 3 skeins.
Wow.
I cannot just throw it away.
No.
And
do you like it?
It's, yeah, I like it. I think the colors are like a fuchsia, like a pinky fuchsia. They're very rich jewel tones, and like a green and a purple. And they're not really the colors I use now, but I do like it. And I thought, so I want to make a vest because I have. So let's see. The yardage is 245 yards, and it's like bulky. Bulky to super bulky kind of.
Okay.
So I think I can. In fact, it's so old that it says dry cleaning suggested.
Oh my gosh!
Is there any yarn today that says dry cleaning?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Nothing
but anyway,
I've seen recently.
So I've been looking online and looking for a pattern for a vest, and there's this really cute vest that I like. It's a sideways. So you anyway, it's from this Rowan the Colorscape Chunky Collection. But I can't buy the pattern online. I have to buy the book, which is out of print, and I can find it on Amazon. But I don't want to buy the book because I don't want to have the whole book. I just want the pattern. So my next step is to see if I can just get the book from the library.
Okay, yeah.
And see if I can
get it.
Because I'm looking for a vest pattern because I think it needs to be something that's stockinette.
Soho has a garter stitch vest.
Yes, and I have that in my favorites too.
Yeah.
And this one is kind of cute. It just has you can either put like a button and knitted tab kind of that holds it closed, or you can just use a
like a shawl pin.
Shawl pin, yeah. But yes, I have that that vest that you're talking about. I have that in here because I was thinking of that one too. But let me go look at it. I think it's
when you said sideways. It's all garter stitch. And when you said sideways, that's what reminded me of that one. I like that one. And that's
what I was just concerned about. Sideways garter vest, and I'm just concerned because garter stitch. Doesn't it typically use up a bit more yarn than stockinette?
Oh, I don't know.
Am I wrong?
That I don't know. I'm not sure.
And there's another one I'm looking at called Simply the Vest by Michelle.
Oh, cute.
Kupfer. And I was thinking of that one, too. Because I don't own any vests, and I think it might be kind of nice to have a vest.
I love having vests.
Yeah.
Well, so 20-something-year-old yarn? 20?
Yeah.
Cool.
There's something I find rather amusing about the fact that I bought it on our honeymoon and we're now divorced. It's amusing to me.
Well, you have to think of a fun name for your project page.
Yeah.
My gosh. Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
that
so
you
I'm thinking of
that.
Yeah. So, and I think it will, a vest and the fact that it's, I don't know, chunky, bulky, whatever it is. I don't know. I think it will knit up really quickly.
That'll be a fun project after a sweater.
Anyway, so that's what's in the works.
Cool. Well, I'm going to Lambtown. The last thing I have to tell everyone. I'm going to Lambtown, and I did decide to take a class. So I'm taking a class on combing and spinning for shine and luster from Stephanie Gausta. So yeah, I'm very excited. Stephanie is...
So I'm interested to hear about it because I didn't realize that combing it suggests that combing affects luster.
Yeah, it aligns all the fiber really, really smoothly and all in the same direction. And so then when you spin, if you're spinning like a long wool, if they're all in the same direction, they reflect light better. So you get more shine for the shiny. So even if they're
aligned straight, but one's going one direction, one's going, because they have scales on them, right? So if one's going one direction, one's going the other direction, it'll affect shine. Is that what they're suggesting?
Well, the more aligned the fibers are, the more shiny the more shiny the finished yarn will be.
Okay.
If you card and then spin, because they're not as aligned, they're more jumbled, you're not going to get as much shine as you could from a long wool. So, and I have combs. I've had them for a really long time. I've used them a little bit, but I haven't used them to their full extent. And so I'm looking forward to learning how to use my combs better, and taking a class from Stephanie. She was one of my early spinning teachers from the listserv, not in person, just on the 1990, late 90s, early 2000s email listserv. She was on that, and I learned a lot from her and some of the other spinning celebrities that were on that back in the day. And I finally got to meet her. She spun on my wheel. She was at the fair. And
on the walking wheel?
She spun on the walking wheel while I was out at the auction, doing things, getting my stuff paid for and stuff at the auction. And when I got back to the wool room, she was there, and somebody said, "Oh, I hope you don't mind. Stephanie wanted to spin on your wheel." Like, mind? No, this is so cool. So I got a chance to talk to her for a little bit, and then I saw she was teaching at Lambtown, and I thought, okay, I'm taking a class from her. I've always wanted to, and I haven't had the opportunity, so now I'm doing it. So yeah, Lambtown is October 6th and 7th in Dixon, California. So it should be fun.
Yeah, that'll be nice. And it'll be warm there.
Yes, I hope so.
Enjoy the warm weather. Yeah.
It should be nice. We're having a fairly cool fall. We usually have very nice September, very warm August, September, October, and it's been pretty cool for September here.
Yeah, our weather has turned. It's actually kind of cold today.
Yeah, it's definitely fall. It definitely feels like fall. Yeah. And I don't think we're going to get any surprise 90-degree weeks. Like we often will get like an 80 or 90-degree week in the middle, somewhere in September. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
we've had a few years where the apples kind of cooked on the trees from bad heat spell in the late fall or in the fall. But I don't think that's going to happen this year.
All right. Well, now, do we have any other business?
The shop has yarn in it. We have.
We should mention that. Yeah.
We have the Farewell to Summer collection, and then I did a little more dyeing, and I added an Autumn Treasures collection. So there's some yarn in the shop, and it's the Replenish Rambouillet, which is the Rambouillet that comes from a ranch that uses carbon farming practices, and so the fiber from that ranch is certified climate beneficial. And
yay.
Yeah, so it's great that we have this available. Worsted spun fingering weight Rambouillet is in the shop.
All right.
Well, okay. I think dinner's waiting for me downstairs.
Oh, I have to go think of what I'm going to make. But anyway, okay. Well, we'll talk in 2 weeks then.
All right.
Alrighty.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2ewesfiberadventures.com. We have links for iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, and others.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2 Ewes
doing our part for World Fleece.